Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the GSL-English podcast. My name is Gideon, and this is a podcast for all learners of English to practice and improve in a relaxed and natural way. And in this episode, I want to share a personal experience with you that I've had recently that will hopefully encourage you to not be so hard on yourself, particularly when it comes to learning and improving the English language, or really anything that you're working hard towards at the moment. If you've just been struggling for motivation, or you haven't been seizing every opportunity to work hard at that goal, I hope you can come away from this episode feeling a little bit better about it, but also ready to start again. So I'm going to share that with you. If you are new here, as I said, my name is Gideon. I'm an English teacher from London, and I create podcasts like this every week to help you practice and improve your natural and authentic English. So give it a like and a subscribe. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, particularly if you are a returning viewer or listener. Firstly, you'll notice I'm in a different environment. I'm in my living room. Other episodes, of course, I'm in my office upstairs. But that really is kind of one of the reasons why we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about today. So I'm recording down here because I just needed a change. I needed to mix things up. I was sitting in my office upstairs and I just had no motivation to record. I had no want. It just wasn't happening. And sometimes with this podcast, I know that when it's not happening, if I just keep on pressing that record button, it's not going to be great. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to change it up. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. So that's why I'm downstairs. And really, that's why recently the episodes have just been a bit inconsistent. You know, if you are, of course, you're a returning viewer, you'll know that I post episodes every Sunday, hopefully at 10 o'clock in the morning. But recently they've been very inconsistent. I've not been uploading as much as I could have. And I want to go back to the reason why that started. So I usually prepare the episodes throughout the week. I record them on Friday, edit them Saturday, and they go out Sunday. That's usually the plan. Now, we had one week where I had to work a lot, and then we were going away on Friday to Sunday. So we're going to visit my wife's parents in Newquay, beautiful part of England. They've just recently moved there. So I didn't get a chance to record an episode. So it just didn't happen that week, which I really don't like, because as well as my main motivation for this podcast being here to hopefully help you improve your English, for me, each week it's a milestone. It's something that I've achieved, and generally speaking, it's something that I'm proud of. So when a podcast doesn't go on, I feel a little bit self-defeated. I always feel, you messed up, haven't worked hard enough, which I know is probably not that healthy. But then the next week came around, and because I'd missed that week, I just lacked the usual drive to research a topic for the podcast. Nothing was coming to mind. And the days went by, and I thought, I'll look it up tomorrow. Friday came by, I had nothing. I'll record tomorrow. I'll record Sunday. It didn't happen. And I thought, it's not a problem. I'll just record next week. And then it didn't happen. Monday went by. I had no drive to research any topics. Nothing was coming to mind. And I just got kind of stuck in this rut of not necessarily having an excuse to not record, but mentally, I kind of just thought, well, what's the point? I haven't done it for a few weeks now. I haven't been working hard at it. What's the point in recording? And that just kind of snowballed a little bit. So, of course, we got an episode out last week. But if I can identify what the exact problem was, it was that I just kind of got stuck in this rut of being frustrated with myself because I hadn't been working hard, or I hadn't been as consistent as I usually am. And because of that, I didn't record any future episodes. Now, logic would tell you if you feel that way, get out of that rut, get recording, and get back on the horse, so to speak. But that's not the way my brain was working. I was just basically being a bit hard on myself. And I wonder if you've kind of felt the same with something, particularly if you've been doing it for a long time. Now, I've been doing this podcast for years now. And if you're listening to this level of a podcast, I'm sure you've been studying English for a fair few years now. Have you ever got in a rut where you just, a week goes by, a month goes by, 6 months goes by, and you realise you're just not doing as well as you could have? You're not seizing every opportunity to improve your English. Or maybe it's something else. Maybe it's with work. You're just not working as hard as you could to achieve your goals or to progress. Maybe it's with exercise. Your workouts are just lacking a bit. You're lacking that motivation. Well, what I think we can all kind of take away is that we're all human. But what matters is really how you go from there. And what I learned is don't try and get back in at the same pace you were at. For example, if you were working really hard, you're going really strong with it, and then you had a little break. Often the reason that we don't get straight back in is because we're not ready for the pace again that we were at. We need to ease ourselves. For me. So I just did a little bit of research for 5 minutes a day on stress because it was stressing me out, and that was the subject of last week's episode. And maybe that's a way to attack it sometimes. If we are feeling like we're just stuck in a rut and we're just annoyed at ourselves, just try 2 minutes or 3 minutes. But what I think it really came down to is the fact that I had mastered procrastination. When we are stuck in that rut, procrastination takes over. Now, I think we have all procrastinated at some point in our lives. We know we should be doing something important. We know what we should be doing, but it's just not happening. So what is procrastination? Well, procrastination is the habit of delaying or putting off tasks, even when we know that doing so may create problems later. So it's the habit. So if it's a habit, it's something that we're regularly doing of delaying or putting things off, even if we know we should do them, or it might create problems for us in the future. But what's interesting, a little bit of research I did on procrastination, it said, contrary to popular belief, so going against the thinking of popular belief, procrastination isn't about laziness. It's about how we, often linked to how we manage uncomfortable emotions. And I think that was a really interesting point, because when we're procrastinating, we think, oh, I'm just being lazy, or all of these other negative comments. But actually, we're just managing some uncomfortable emotions, which might be frustration at ourselves. It might be struggling for motivation. But one of the main reasons it said that people procrastinate is to avoid feelings such as anxiety, boredom, frustration, or self-doubt. For example, if a task feels difficult or overwhelming, avoiding it provides temporary relief. Have you felt that? If you avoid a certain task that you know has to get done, so you do something else, well, you scroll on your phone, or you go mow the lawn, or you wash the car, you've got temporary relief from the fact that you are not doing what you should be doing. But the problem is, the task doesn't disappear, and the stress accumulates. It builds and it gets worse over time. Or it might be something to do with fear of failure. That's often the reason that we hold off on something, a particular exam, the Cambridge exam or IELTS or something like that. Some people worry, I'm not going to do a good enough job, so I'm going to hold off starting. If I don't start, I can't fail. Perfectionists are often the biggest procrastinators because they want everything to be perfect, and inside they know it's never going to be perfect, really, so they procrastinate. You're managing those negative emotions. It's not because one is lazy. And I think that's a really important kind of point to not be beating ourselves up, realizing that we're not necessarily lazy. We just don't want to deal with the emotions that come along with the task that needs to be done. Another reason, our brains naturally prefer immediate rewards. For example, checking your phone, watching a video, that provides an instant reward, doesn't it? While completing a project, working on a podcast, improving your English, it takes time, sometimes days. So we procrastinate because we know we're not going to see the results immediately. But this is the interesting point, okay? And this is why I think it ties into last week's episode about stress. Because just a little side note on that, a little side story. I always try to create podcasts on things that are on my mind or how I'm feeling, because I think if it's something that's on my mind or that I'm feeling, I can talk about it a lot easier. It's a lot easier for me to talk about it. Why did I say that? Oh yeah, linked to stress. Where was it? I've completely lost where I am on these notes. Oh yeah, that's it. Procrastination and stress are closely connected. We often procrastinate because a task feels stressful, but delaying it usually creates even more stress. The key is to take one small step forward, even if it isn't perfect. Breaking large tasks into smaller steps, reducing distractions, focusing on progress rather than perfection. The hardest part is simply getting started again. Procrastination isn't because we're lazy, it's because we're human. It's because we've got so much going on. And if we are putting things off, often it's based around another emotion that we're trying to mask, whether that's stress, whether it's anxiety, whether it's the fear of not doing a good job, whether we're just simply worried about failing. If you haven't been as productive as you could be recently, don't get stuck in the hole of that. Just get started again. And I just think that's a really interesting way of looking at it, because I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think we can all be our own worst enemy, can't we? And, we know we could be doing better. We know that we could have worked hard. We know that we could be probably at a better stage than we are right now. But we go through periods where it's just not there. And then we get deeper and deeper into that rut of kind of beating ourselves up so we don't do it. So what am I trying to say? Well, with your English or learning any language, you're going to go through stages where it's absolutely great, where you're flying, where you feel comfortable, where you feel confident, and people notice that. But you're also going to go through stages where it's just not the same, where you got no motivation, your English feels a bit dull, a bit stale. If you are in that stage at the moment, get started tomorrow or next week, but just start small. Just listen to something in English. Just do a little bit of study, just a little bit of new vocabulary. Do what you enjoy and just slowly work your way back up. Get to that point. Be consistent, but don't be so hard on yourself. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I think we just all as humans have a habit where it's okay for everybody else to have a break. It's okay for everybody else to not be as productive as they could be. But when it comes to us, there's no excuses. How dare we? So there you go. That's the thought I wanted to present to you. Now, this episode started off when I was preparing it as a natter episode. And then I kind of, as I was going through it, I thought that was just something that I wanted to talk to you about. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to have a little bit of a catch up, just a little bit of a natter, just give you some updates, answer some of your questions. Now, one of the questions on last week's podcasts, quite a few people asked me, is what happened to my arm? If you watch it, I've got a little cut on my arm. The answer is, I have absolutely no idea. I did it while I was out and about. My wife was quite worried about it. She's a bit of a panicker. She's like, oh no, what did you do to your arm? I didn't even realise I did it. But it's quite a deep cut, actually. It's healing up nicely. But I realised, I watched the podcast back, and it did look quite bad on last week's episode. I don't know if it was just the way the light was catching it. But yeah, thank you for your concern. For those that said, what happened to your arm? Someone left a comment asking if I got bitten by a dinosaur. Or had I fallen off Big Ben? Neither of those is true. I'm sad to say. Wasn't bitten by a dinosaur. I think that's, if I was bitten by a dinosaur, I'd have a few more marks than a little scratch on my arm. But yeah, got no idea how I did it. But it's there. So as regards the podcast moving forward, we're going to get back to regular episodes now, hopefully. I always say hopefully because I've got to put that little disclaimer in there. But the last few episodes have had quite a good response, so I do appreciate that. Thank you for your support. It always really helps out when you can give the videos a like, when you can, just leave a comment or share them with your friends and family. Really helps out, so I do appreciate that. So we should be back to normal. So if there's ever anything in particular you'd like me to talk about, anything you'd like me to discuss on the podcast, I'm always open to suggestions. I'm not saying I'm going to say I'm definitely going to do it. If I like it, I'll prepare it. But yeah, if you ever got any suggestions of anything to talk about, please do let me know. Oh, are there any country music fans out there? Are you a country music fan? I am. Probably like the last 10 years. I just love country music. I really do. There's a place in London I went to on Friday night. It's in a place called Chiswick. 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 It's at West London. It's a little bit out of the way. But there is a place called Little Nashville, or Lil, Lil, Nashville. And it's a restaurant bar in London. If you are a country fan, you're currently in England, or you're visiting, you're living here, I highly recommend you go. You have to book a table. The food is fantastic. If you like American kind of southern food, it's absolutely brilliant. But what they do is at 9 o'clock, all the tables are cleared, and then there's a band or there's line dancing. And the atmosphere in there was just really, really nice. I'm getting old. I'm not a big fan of massive crowds now. If I'm going to go out for an evening, I prefer just a nice, relaxed restaurant. But this was brilliant. It wasn't rammed. It was just enough people. The atmosphere was brilliant. The vibes were there. So I highly recommend it. In Chiswick, Little Nashville, they've got an Instagram page. But we had such a good night. Really let our hair down. Went with some friends and family. So yeah, check it out. I highly recommend going to Little Nashville. So that's kind of all I had to talk about in today's episode. Where are we at? Oh, we're not even at 20 minutes. So this episode is going to be a little bit shorter. Next week, be back to normal episodes. Got an interesting topic that I'm going to talk about with you. Thinking about doing it. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. But yeah, that'll be coming out next Sunday. But I do appreciate your support. I hope you enjoyed this random little episode. Don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself a break. Give yourself a pat on the back for all the good things that you're doing. You're working hard. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a good one, guys.